Good evening, I'm Ian Hannamansing. Surging COVID-19 cases in parts of Canada prompt warnings and crackdowns.
They need to shut a few of these places down so that everybody else takes note and stays in line.
Public health authorities in Toronto clamp down on the city's entertainment district, while Quebecers are told to stay home. A doctor's take on targeted restrictions and how we change our behavior. Trump's tax returns are out, what they reveal, and his response.
Totally fake news.
And a security company that left one family vulnerable and another questioning.
I finally said that. I was like, so you're going to give me access to somebody else's house?
This is The National. This weekend, the COVID-19 pandemic marked its 200th day, a number eclipsed by the death toll, expected tonight to surpass 1 million people worldwide. More than half of those deaths reported in just 5 countries, the U.S., Brazil, India, Mexico, and the U.K., Canada ranking 20th in reported deaths, just behind Germany, which has twice this country's population. And fears here of more loss and suffering are rising with the case numbers. Officials are increasingly concerned about younger people spreading the virus since they now account for the most new cases. Several Toronto bars and restaurants have already closed, and just today, word of an outbreak at another popular downtown spot. Natalie Collada looks at the struggle to get the safety message out.
Instead of lineups, locked doors, and a lengthy note, closed for cleaning after an employee tested positive for COVID-19. It's the latest in a series of restaurant bars in Toronto forced to shut down, some for possible exposure, others for not taking sufficient steps to protect staff and customers.
It's disappointing. It is very disappointing.
I think they need to shut a few of these places down so that, everybody else takes note and, stays in line.
Epidemiologists warn against sitting in tight quarters without masks and talking with faces close together, indoors and out. Last night, police broke up another unsanctioned car rally with many ignoring protocols in a town north of Toronto, even banning entry to non-residents.
It's not these young people these days. It's us then, too. We just didn't have a pandemic to deal with.
This Toronto psychologist says it's simply harder to convince younger, single people not to congregate.
So they're at this period of their lives where a real core priority for them is building out their social network.
To date, Toronto has issued more than 1,400 charges and fines.
We expect we will have more to say on some other measures based on evidence as early as next week.
But along with penalties, messaging is also key.
The rational sort of approach can only go so far. That's why I kind of suggest that emotional approach, where they really think this could kill somebody I love.
Experts are especially concerned about younger Canadians spreading the virus.
Eventually, the younger demographic will infect an older demographic. If we want to see our future, we look to the Southern Hemisphere. And their second wave saw more deaths than the first wave.
A fate health officials are desperate to avoid. Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
And here's a broader look at the COVID-19 situation across the country tonight. We won't get BC or Alberta numbers until tomorrow, but even without them, Canada saw 1,400 new infections. Manitoba's surge continues with another 51 cases today, while central Canada just keeps climbing. Almost 500 in Ontario and almost 900 in Quebec. Both of those provinces also dealing with several new school outbreaks. Well, for a little bit more on this, let's bring in Dr. Isaac Bogosh, infectious disease specialist at Toronto General Hospital. And Dr. Bogosh, we continue to see cases pop up in indoor locations like restaurants. A reminder, I suppose, of the risks of indoors versus outdoors.
Yeah, indeed. We know 8 months into this pandemic that there's certain areas that are just way riskier and way more prone to outbreaks. And certainly indoor dining and bars have been well known to be a source of major infections or major outbreaks. I think the other thing, too, is many restaurants and many bars are clearly taking steps to reduce this, but yet we still see outbreaks associated with some restaurants and bars. It's really unfortunate. And there are steps we can take to make these more safer and less prone to these outbreaks.
The numbers out of Quebec and Ontario are breathtaking to most of us, and I know they're very concerning to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we knew that there was going to be a rise in cases as we entered the fall and the winter, and there's several drivers of that. But I think what was a little bit surprising is how fast they went up and how soon they went up. But of course, that old adage, it's never too late to turn around when you're going down the wrong path. It's certainly not too late to get these under control.
All right, and there's more to talk about with you a little later on in the program. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Donald Trump's finances are undergoing a public dissection. The New York Times says it's received tax records revealing a pattern of tax avoidance. Ellen Morrow has some examples.
The year Donald Trump won the presidency, he only paid $750 in federal income taxes, according to the New York Times.
I, Donald John Trump.
The year Trump took office, the same amount, $750 for the self-proclaimed billionaire. Trump paid no income taxes at all in 10 of the previous 15 years after reporting losing more money than he made. The Times posted the in-depth article today, saying it obtained Trump tax return data for more than 2 decades, promising more stories in the coming weeks. Tonight, Trump blasted the report.
Totally fake news. No, actually, I paid tax, and you'll see that as soon as my tax returns. It's under audit. They've been under audit for a long time.
But there's no law preventing tax returns from being released, even if they are under audit. Trump is the only president in modern times not to make his returns public.
They're doing their assessment. We've been negotiating for a long time. Things get settled, like in the IRS.
In a section of the report called The Art of the Write-Off, the story says Trump wrote off $70,000 worth of haircuts while on The Apprentice. 9 Trump entities wrote off nearly $100,000 to Ivanka Trump's hair and makeup artist. The report comes just weeks before the election, with polls showing Trump lagging behind Joe Biden. If Trump does win, he'll be contending with politics and finances. The Times says Trump appears to be responsible for loans equaling more than $420 million, most coming due in the next 4 years. President Trump and Joe Biden will have their first debate on Tuesday. While the topics have already been chosen, it's almost certain Trump's taxes will come up as a line of attack for Joe Biden. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Washington.
The global epicenter of the pandemic has passed another unwanted threshold this weekend. The United States now passing 7 million total cases. It's also closing in on 205,000 deaths. California, Texas, and Florida remain the hardest hit states. Thousands of British students are being effectively locked down on campus as COVID-19 outbreaks sweep through several universities.
Of course, I very much want students to be able to go home at Christmas.
University students in Glasgow, Manchester, and Edinburgh are being asked to isolate in their residence halls. In some cases, security guards are keeping young people from leaving. Frustrated students say they're not being adequately informed about what's going on. The Canada Emergency Response Benefit, or CERB, has ended. For millions of Canadians, it's been their only source of income during the pandemic. A suite of new programs are taking over, including an improved EI. But as Briar Stewart explains, some fear a messy transfer.
Yeah, we go for a walk. There we go. For Nadina Bennis, a walk is a way to help ease the stress. Money is tight and she's been out of work since March.
Well, majority of my coworkers and I actually got laid off, and that was the last time that we set foot on that hotel. Come on, Jedi.
She's one of more than 8 million Canadians who applied for CERB, but that program has now ended. What comes next, she isn't exactly sure. The federal government says it's simplified EI so more people now qualify. It's also proposed 3 other benefits, including the Canadian Recovery Benefit, the CERB. People are eligible if their income is down at least 50%. They can receive $500 a week for 26 weeks.
Each new bridge is losing bricks.
It's designed to help those who are self-employed, like Jeff Pointer.
We're usually doing about 100 shows a year, so most of those are gone.
Pointer's not sure, though, whether he will have to apply for the benefit or be switched over automatically. Some fear the transition period could be rocky.
Well, the big worry is going to be, can the system, of course, deal with this volume of people, and more importantly, are people getting their checks in a timely manner?
Checks are supposed to start going out in mid-October. Some business groups say while it's important benefits are extended, they believe the new changes could keep some part-time workers from returning to jobs.
We need to make sure that nobody is earning more than 100% of their pre-COVID wages, and there will be hundreds of thousands of Canadians that will actually be earning more on the CRB benefit than they would while they were working.
For Abenis, she says she's been looking for work but can't find a full-time job with the same kind of benefit she had before.
You can't find those kind of jobs anymore. Come on, baby.
So for now, she's reassessing her career and is grateful she will keep receiving the financial support in the meantime. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
The federal government is promising to do more to protect vulnerable seniors after long-term care homes were devastated by COVID-19. As Ashley Burke explains, many hope that means holding the homes criminally accountable in cases of neglect.
It's horrible, you know, especially when it's in a situation like this.
Luigi Mara says the last time he saw his father, Vincenzo, he was happy and healthy. They celebrated his 80th birthday in March. Then the pandemic hit, the visits stopped, and 3 months later, he died in hospital.
The intake nurse that took him in, you know, pulled me aside and said that he was malnutritioned and dehydrated, and she knew that he was coming from a home.
Mara claims there was neglect.
He was being left in a bed for, you know, 24 hours, 30 hours at a time.
Carmelo Colilo's family also alleges neglect, saying she went from being a fitness buff to dead within months in her long-term care home. Her son-in-law saw the conditions near the end.
Her lips all chapped and dried out. She's in a fetal position, a pajama top on her, no bottoms.
Des modifications au code criminel.
Last week, the government promised changes, including amendments to the criminal code to explicitly penalize those who neglect seniors in their care. Not enough, says this criminal lawyer.
The real problem here is a lack of resources, a lack of oversight, a lack of regulation, and a lack of provincial governments doing their job, and a lack of the federal government insisting that that job be done and helping pay for it.
It's already illegal not to provide the necessities of life, but some say the law isn't specific enough and is aimed at individual workers, not long-term care homes.
There's a lot of elder abuse and neglect that happens that falls short of the necessities of life that still could attract criminal sanctions if the law were shaped in such a way to do that.
I think that these long-term care facilities should be charged. They're the ones that should be charged and convicted with neglect on these residents, as opposed to, putting it on the workers of the home.
Mara's family is now part of a class action lawsuit against the long-term care home. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Manitoba health officials announced another outbreak at a long-term care home this weekend. It's at Heritage Lodge Personal Care Home in Winnipeg. The home said last week that an asymptomatic resident had tested positive for COVID-19. New COVID restrictions are going into effect in parts of Manitoba at midnight tonight, including in Winnipeg, slashing gathering sizes. And as Aaron Broman explains, that has many in the wedding business scrambling.
After a year of planning her dream wedding, and with her guests already in town, it's a rude awakening for Caitlin Bailey.
And let alone getting news 7 days before your wedding that, okay, you can't actually have it and you need to change everything.
Hawthorne Estates was their venue. The site northeast of Winnipeg usually has 80 weddings a year. This weekend, there were 3, and they don't expect many more.
It's been devastating. You're dealing with someone's special day, their wedding day.
Manitoba has seen a sharp increase in its COVID cases in recent days. So starting at midnight, new rules. Masks will be mandatory in all public places, and gathering sizes are reduced to 10 people inside or out. That has couples rebooking or canceling venues, losing thousands in damage deposits. Bailey's wedding will now be at a private home with fewer people.
We just decided we just had to pivot.
Dr. Brent Rusin made the announcement Friday.
It was a real short turnaround. And I think what's also frustrating for us is just the manner in which they deliver these new restrictions.
Winnipeg and surrounding communities are restricted, but but not nearby La Broquerie, where the rustic wedding barn is.
I feel bad for the other venues. My phones instantly started ringing off the hook.
Though she has also been hit hard this wedding season, with people opting for backyard weddings.
Venues are probably safer than backyards.
Louise and Kyle Anderson own Anderson's Hitchin Post Ranch northwest of Winnipeg. They say they understand the safety concerns of gatherings, but question why restaurants, bars, and casinos stay open with far fewer restrictions.
We just want people to come and realize we have almost 10,000 square feet, but we're only allowed 10 people.
The venues say the damage has been done for 2020.
Some of the conversations having with couples is we feel their pain.
But want consultation with the province so they can survive next year. Erin Broman, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, this is unsettling. An Alberta woman discovered she wasn't in control of her new home security system. The previous owner was, thanks to the service provider. So she decided to go public. Here's Rosa Marcatelli.
A stranger messaged Taylor Fornell out of the blue, telling her he had complete control over her home security system and could prove it. He then showed her how he could remotely disarm the alarm, unlock the doors and windows, and track when she left the house, all with a few clicks on the security company's own app.
If he wasn't an honest person, could have come in and done who knows what to my home, my family.
So yeah, I went and opened the app.
That stranger is Rob Hall, the former owner of the house. He wanted to warn Fornell the security company Vivint hadn't cut off service when he canceled it weeks before moving out. When he later called the company again, demanding it deactivate the app ASAP, he says he was told he'd have to wait out the 30-day cancellation period.
I finally said to him, I was like, so you're going to give me access to somebody else's house? I literally could go on the app, I could watch the doors, I could watch them leave the house. Then I could walk up to the front door, unlock it, disarm the system, walk in and steal everything in the place because an alarm company gave me access.
That was enough to get Vivint to finally cut off his access, he says, a process that took 30 seconds. Several others tell Go Public it happened to them too.
Yes, I'm here. Come.
I know you're here. Who are you?
Problems with security systems in general are well documented. Take this U.S. couple. They had to deactivate their Google Nest system after a hacker taunted the family through their own security cameras.
I was horrified.
In Canada, experts say these situations are a result of outdated privacy laws and cancellation policies written to benefit companies instead of protecting consumers.
It's advantageous for the monitoring companies not to cancel your service, with the hopes that the new homeowner will actually come on board, sign up to the service.
Vivint says Rob Hall didn't provide a move-out date when he canceled. And while its policy is to confirm timing, the company says that step was overlooked by staff in all of the cases Go Public brought to its attention. It says it's since reviewed its process to make sure situations like this are handled according to policy moving forward, adding that it did honor all aspects of the customer agreement in all of the cases. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Calgary.
Our Go Public stories come from you. If you have a tip for Rosa and the team to investigate, send an email to gopublic@cbc.ca. In California, hot, dry winds fueled record-breaking fires this weekend. Next, as climate change stokes wildfires, how experts this side of the border are making forests more fire-resistant. Plus, lessons from Terry.
Pick up something, be passionate about it, and fight for that cause.
40 years after the Marathon of Hope, a new book outlines his legacy in letters. And
who painted the Mona Lisa? Yeah. Da Vinci?
Canadian brothers light up the internet. We're back after this.
I don't think I've gotten maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep each night.
I lost everything except what's in that bag.
The 2020 fire season in the American West is already the worst on record. A new fire this weekend has prompted evacuation orders. The state's largest utility has warned it may cut power to thousands of customers to stop transmission lines from sparking and starting more fires. And yet it's been unusually calm here in British Columbia due to a cool and wet summer. But fire experts warn that's just a temporary reprieve from a climate change trend. And there are lessons to be learned from the American experience. Greg Rasmussen explains.
So the outside scorches, but you don't have to pick it off very far before you get to unburnt.
This forest was hit by a wildfire just a few weeks ago. Conditions were bone dry, threatening dozens of nearby homes.
Contrast here, what happened on this slope? Fire came down this slope towards the road. Firefighters were here. They were able to stop it at the road and prevent it from moving onto the other side and towards the homes.
But it was stopped. Several years ago, this forest was made more resistant to fire. Dead, dry timber was removed and the trees pruned.
Well, you can see all the lower branches have been removed, around us here. So the idea behind that is that if there's a fire on the ground, it doesn't have fuel to get up into the treetops above us.
Climate change means mega fires like those seen in the U.S. will become more common, and people living in or near forested areas need to adapt.
It's critical. This helps protect communities, and really we need to be moving into doing more of this at a larger scale.
And the grey smoke first of all, and then the black smoke.
Paul Edmonds shot this video a few weeks ago from his front porch.
I could see this small column of smoke coming up, maybe the size of a campfire, and then must have been 5 minutes later, it must have been the size of a tennis court. 5 minutes after that, it was a roaring, a football field.
This time, only one house was lost after embers landed on its cedar roof. Edmonds credits the preventative work in the nearby woods with helping to save the rest.
So we have to be much more aware, and we have to look at the warning signs, what's happened in California, Oregon, and now closer to us, Washington.
But removing all the potential fuel isn't easy. It's tough, slow work in a province covered top to bottom in trees.
It makes a huge difference. Pretty much if it will stop the fire from going up on the trees. I live myself in the forest. I've been evacuated a few times for fire living in the Okanagan. It's the way it is, and the more we do this, the less it's dangerous for people.
This relatively small patch of forest illustrates the scale of the problem. You have to multiply this by millions and millions of trees.
We know that with climate change, fires are becoming more common, that they're bigger fires and more intense fires.
This expert says what the U.S. is experiencing should be viewed as a warning for Canadians.
And so with warmer climate, longer fire seasons and more pronounced droughts, the projection is for greater area burned. We're on that trajectory already in Canada.
A gloomy picture, but amidst the ashes, a small sign of hope.
Look at the grass just starting to come back in here.
Just weeks after the fire, life is already taking hold in the areas that had been treated to be fire resistant.
Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Penticton, BC.
Next on The National, can targeted lockdowns work? We discuss the balance between rules and responsibility. Plus, as the pandemic moves just about everything online, the deepening divide between rural and urban communities.
He marked me as absent when I was actually there because all of a sudden it glitched.
Education, healthcare, working from home, all require a stable internet connection. Next, coping when you don't have one. Back to our top story, the surge in coronavirus cases in central Canada. In Quebec, the daily case numbers are back to the level the province was reporting more than 4 months ago, when many of the province's businesses were shut down. And Simon Nakaneshny tells us parts of the province may soon be declared a red zone.
At Quinn Farm, just off the western tip of Montreal, the parking lot is packed. Families flock to the apple orchards with bags in hand. It's a welcome escape from the city and fears of impending confinement.
We know that we may not be able to see them when it's wintertime, so we're just coming with our cousins. We're gonna stay 2 meters apart.
Yeah, more reasons why we're out today, right? We know that any day now it could be over.
COVID-19 cases in Quebec continue to rise rapidly. Much of the province is already under orange alert. Some experts believe greater restrictions should already be in place.
I think at this point they need to be taking much more stringent measures if we want to avoid a full-on viral catastrophe.
While hospitalizations and deaths are still rising relatively slowly, cracks in the health system are starting to show. This week, 11 residents and 7 employees tested positive for COVID at a nursing home in Laval. And today, health officials confirmed 2 outbreaks at a Quebec City hospital. On Friday, the health minister urged citizens to take a 28-day challenge and limit all non-essential contacts.
This is not permanent. We ask you a month of effort to break the second wave.
But that message wasn't getting through to everyone.
We're doing it safely today. If they could only keep 2 meters, it would be great.
Phil Quinn says he's capped attendance and is following all public health rules, but worries other farmers aren't being so careful.
A lot of guys are operating status quo right now, and the cops are showing up to shut them down.
The health minister says the next few weeks will be crucial. To hammer that message home tonight on Radio-Canada, he dropped a dose of reality. Montreal and Quebec City will be moving into the red zone, or maximum alert, in a matter of days. Simon Nakaneshny, CBC News, Montreal.
The rate of COVID-19 infections in parts of the country is raising the alarm, and provinces are reacting differently. Just this week, Ontario tightened rules for restaurants and bars and shut down strip clubs. Meanwhile, Quebec is urging the public to avoid all social gatherings for the next 28 days. And starting tomorrow, in and around Winnipeg, masks will be required in all indoor public settings, and gatherings will be limited to 10 people. Are these measures enough? What should people be doing to keep themselves and others safe? Let's bring back infectious disease specialist Dr. Isaac Bogosh. And Dr. Bogosh, the situation varies from province to province. How effective are the kinds of targeted restrictions I just mentioned?
I think they'll have some effect. Really what we're looking here is some incremental additional safety and some incremental benefit. I don't think any one of these policies is going to be a silver bullet that's going to get it under control. We really have to look at the cumulative policy that keeps these provinces safe and our federal guidance as well. Certainly there's going to be some differences between the provinces, and that's why they might be taking slightly different approaches. But when we sort of take a step back and look at the big picture, we know that the drivers of infection are probably pretty similar in most of those provinces, largely driven by indoor gatherings, either at work or at restaurants or bars or at private gatherings. And really focusing our attention on those to keep numbers as low as possible is really the right way forward.
Now, in some provinces, notably Atlantic Canada, case counts are very low. And in other provinces, there are health authorities who feel the numbers are under control. But what sort of advice would you have for people in those parts of Canada?
I think continued vigilance is extremely important. We know this is a very contagious infection. It doesn't stay restricted to one age group for long. It doesn't stay restricted to one geographic location for long, and you really need continued vigilance. The other thing, too, is to really learn from our prior Canadian experience and from the global experience. We don't need to make the same mistakes twice or 3 times over. We already know how this is transmitted and where it's transmitted, and we can be proactive in really making policies to prevent transmission or even the introduction and transmission of this virus in many settings.
I know there are a lot of people who yearn for simple rules, kind of binary, mask on, mask off kinds of rules. But when I hear, for example, Dr. Bonnie Henry talk about our social bubbles, you know, it takes a while to explain to people what that means and how to assess them and how to figure out. One example she gave is if your son, teenage son has a girlfriend, you have to talk to their family to kind of figure out how much contact they have with the outside world. What advice do you have for people who are kind of rethinking their social bubbles or circles?
I think at this point in Canada's epidemic, the best thing to do is just to keep it as small as possible and really restrict our social gatherings to as few people as possible. I appreciate that the senior political leadership and senior public health leadership is trying to set some concrete guidelines and say, X number of people here or Y number of people in those settings. But in general, we should really not be socializing, and we should really be restricting all of our interactions and really keeping it to as few people as possible. We've got a big outbreak going on in Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia, and Alberta. The rest of the country is certainly prone to this. This is the time to keep it tight and within the family rather than opening things up.
So that answer kind of anticipates my last question, but I will still ask it because it's timely. Thanksgiving is coming up, a really important time for a lot of families in this country. What should people be keeping in mind?
In all fairness, I think that if you don't live under that roof, you shouldn't go into that house. And we should really keep this as small as possible. And it's a simple rule, and it's easy to understand, and it's pretty effective. And there's going to be a lot of virtual Thanksgiving dinners, and that's okay. And if we all do our part, we'll get through this faster. So I think that's the key message. If you don't live under the roof, don't go in the house.
Well, as you said, nice, clear advice, and we really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Before the pandemic, Canadians relied on the internet to relax, connect, and shop, but for many, it is now essential for earning money or an education. Broadband internet has become a necessity, and Briar Stewart reminds us a lot of rural Canadians still don't have it.
In many ways, the mountainside hamlet of Ryder Lake, BC is a perfect place to raise a family and a few animals. There's plenty of space, but not much in the way of internet.
When we moved up to here 8.5 years ago, internet to us as a family was a social thing. It was a nice to have. It wasn't essential. Now it's become essential. And Eli's actually just logging off for classes. Okay.
With 4 children in the house, it's a ration commodity.
3.5 hours online today?
I guess so.
That's not bad. Are you doing all your registration right now?
Yeah. Sherry Eggersma says the family pays $150 a month for satellite internet, and the speed of the service means there's barely enough bandwidth for one person to be online. When schools were closed, it was a big problem.
It was technically challenging, very challenging, because we had to start picking and choosing basically who was going to be learning and who wasn't.
18-year-old Eli was given priority because he was graduating. Now he's in university, and there are still issues.
He marked me as absent when I was actually there because all of a sudden it glitched and it said Elijah wasn't here. I'm like, oh shit, so I had to call up my instructor and say, hey, I was there.
As the pandemic suddenly thrust school, work, and even social life online, it further highlighted the urban-rural divide around connectivity. The CRTC says all Canadians should have access to broadband internet with at least 50 megabits per second download and 10 upload. 86% have at least that, but in rural areas, about 40% do. In First Nations communities, it's even less.
Maybe you can show me just how fast or how slow your internet is these days.
Okay.
Peter John says some on the Chawatil First Nation have internet, that is, when it works.
So you're going to try to do a speed test?
Yes.
So what's happening?
It's trying to establish a connection.
So it's so slow it's not even showing you the speed yet?
No, that's good. There's 2 of them. There's 1 and 2.
The First Nation is on high-speed dial-up.
Like if we have people come to the band office to access the internet here, we as staff cannot access our internet. And then we have to go and say, sorry, you've been on it too long, you need to go. It's really, really slow here.
For some in this community, the only reliable way to access the internet is to come and wait for the bus, pay $5 to take a 35-minute ride to a nearby city, and then log on to Wi-Fi at a business there.
Deanna John says the doctor who used to visit Chawatil once a week said she could no longer see patients here because the internet connection wouldn't let her load her files. Then there's everything that people aren't able to do online.
And I think that our people could use more like training and, everything they could get out of the internet. They're not able to really get it.
The CRTC's goal is to connect all Canadians with quality high speed by 2030. But Josh Tabish with the Canadian Internet Registration Authority says the goal should be hastened.
There are some areas that the big telecom providers will simply never invest in unless they have help.
The federal government has committed $1.7 billion, but Tabish says the money isn't moving quickly enough.
Getting short-term wireless internet solutions up and running is going to be less expensive than digging up streets and laying cables.
The TELUS fiber optic network has arrived in your community.
And then come up with a plan to how to fund fiber optic technology. It's estimated that it could cost $6 billion to bring broadband to all Canadian communities. In Ryder Lake, they were told it could cost $600,000 to extend a nearby network, but that's too expensive for the 1,500 residents.
It was our choice to move out here, and would we change it? No. Why? You can't put a price tag on the level of learning they're getting from living on our property. However, our children still have that right to learn no matter where we live.
I type it. See, it says type name.
And these days, so much of that depends on your ability to log on. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Ryder Lake, BC.
When we come back, commemorating 40 years since Terry Fox's run.
And if I don't make it, the marathon of hope better continue.
Next, Canadians living out his legacy in their everyday lives.
What I learned from Terry was that disability did not mean inability.
More lessons right after this. The pandemic has made it a tough year for charity events. In previous Septembers, this has been one of the biggest, the Terry Fox Run. 2020 marks 40 years since his Marathon of Hope. An anniversary edition of his iconic shoes sold out in minutes. The Terry Fox Run still went ahead virtually. Participants were encouraged to raise money for cancer research their way and post their efforts on social media. More than 25,000 fundraisers in all, chalking up nearly $5 million. For decades after his run ended, this country remains fiercely proud of Terry Fox. He defined perseverance and hope for a generation of Canadians. Now he's being honored in a new book. Forever Terry, A Legacy in Letters, is a collection of 40 letters from 40 contributors, reflecting on what he means to us.
My name is Marissa Papaconstantino. I'm a first-time Paralympian in track and field for the 100 and 200 meter sprint.
My name is Perdita Felician, Olympian, author, broadcaster, and speaker.
My name is Daryl Fox, and I'm Terry Fox's younger brother.
How long is it going to take you to run across the country?
This September, October, I'll get there. I hope to do between 30 and 40 miles in a day.
The moment I realized Terry had captured the imagination of Canadians is actually the very first day I arrived, May 31st, 1980. I had witnessed Terry run over 3,000 miles preparing for the Marathon of Hope, and I could see by his commitment and his determination that I felt, even at the age of 17, he was fulfilling a dream.
I don't remember a time where Terry Fox was not a part of my memory, part of our fabric as Canadians.
I had gone through my year and a half of chemotherapy, the hardest time of my life, when I might have died, but I lived, knowing that these people are still there. There's people in a bed right now. And I decided I would try and help out those people by raising money and maybe being a motivator for them by doing what I'm doing.
That's who he is, and he fought the good fight, and he continues to fight the good fight, even though he's no longer with us.
Although he had his own struggles and obstacles to overcome, he managed to persevere and get through them regardless of what he faced.
Thank you very much. People tell me to quit. I look at it, if you got a heart and a mind and you're happy, then why change what you're doing?
I feel connected to Terry because he was the very first individual that I saw that also happened to be an amputee that really demonstrated power and resilience.
I feel that losing my leg has not hindered my life. It's helped me. I'm happier than before. I find things more rewarding than before.
As a young girl growing up with a disability, that was huge for my confidence.
Lane 7 for candidate Marissa Papaconstantino.
And being able to adapt to any situation that came my way.
Papaconstantino in third.
I always say to people on the street, you could take my other leg away, and I'd probably be even tougher than I am right now with one.
He was an athlete, and I think sometimes that's lost in his story. To even start an ambition like the Marathon of Hope and to run a marathon every single day for thousands and thousands of kilometers, you'd have to, have the mind of an athlete. And so I feel connected to him in that way.
The part of Terry that my family and I carry with us every day is that life is short. Do not take it for granted. Terry said that he made a mistake in the 18 years before he was diagnosed with cancer, that he was very self-centered. That cancer awakened him to the concept of giving back and helping others.
There are 25 million people who live in Canada. Don't tell me that we can't raise $25 million from the public of Canada. See, I gotta set my goals high, because I believe in miracles, and I have to. Thank you.
What I learned from Terry was that disability did not mean inability, and just because I had a different challenge growing up than my peers did not mean that I wasn't able to achieve anything I set my mind to.
What I learned from Terry was anything is possible if you try, which were Terry's actual words. He said before he started the Marathon of Hope, I want to try the impossible to show that it can be done. And that's exactly what Terry did, in my mind, in 1980. He proved to us all that the limitations we have are self-imposed, and we can do anything if we set our mind and heart towards a goal.
I'm stubborn and competitive. I'm not a quitter. I don't like to lose. I don't like people feeling sorry for me. I don't like pity. And I wanted to show these other people what I could do.
You know, sometimes we think that we have to be, a millionaire or a politician to make change, to make things happen. But here was Terry Fox, an ordinary Canadian kid who said that I'm not going to wait for somebody else to tackle cancer. I'm going to fight it myself. And Terry did what was in his power to do. He ran, and he ran every day until he couldn't.
I've said to people before that I'm going to do my very best to make it. I'm not going to give up, and that's true. But I might not make it. And if I don't make it, the Marathon of Hope better continue. It's got to go without me. I'll do my best, but it's got to keep going without me if I can't make it.
And I'd like to think that 39, 40 years later, each of us is going west in Terry's honor and continuing on this Marathon of Hope.
I believe Terry Fox's legacy is resilience and power, and it's been able to carry on with Canadians all throughout Canada.
I believe Terry Fox's legacy is that each one of us can make change. We can make a difference. Whatever the causes are, if we start locally, if we start in our own backyards, we might not know where these changes will take us. They might not be as big as the Marathon of Hope, but I don't think that matters. Just pick up something, be passionate about it, and fight for that cause, whatever it is.
I believe Terry's legacy is very much alive and very vibrant.
I like Terry.
It's hard to believe we're now 40 years removed from the Marathon of Hope, but it's as if it was last week that Terry was running, because Canadians, Terry Foxers, from east to west, from north to south, are continuing what he started in 1980, and we will not rest until his dream of eradicating cancer once and for all is eliminated.
It is hard to believe it's been 4 decades and that message still as inspirational as ever. When we come back, twins from Surrey, British Columbia break the internet with this.
Who painted the Mona Lisa? Mona Lisa. Yeah. Da Vinci?
Patrick and Chris Voros get the full meme treatment, fan art, fan photos, even a turn on late night TV.
One of my buttons. Listen now.
Da Vinci?
Next, how their newfound fame is giving their family a much-needed laugh.
Who painted the Mona Lisa? Mona Lisa. Yeah. Da Vinci?
This is all it took to catch the internet by storm, silly internet. Canadian twins not knowing who painted the Mona Lisa and turning Da Vinci into Da Vinci. Perhaps a simple mispronunciation, but a mistake that millions have now seen online. So we reached out to the brothers to get the full story. And tonight, their viral moment is our moment.
You're the twins from that meme. Who painted the Mona Lisa? Mona Lisa. Yeah. Da Vinci? Yo, we're the Burroughs twins, and this is Patrick, this is Chris, and we're from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. We see our faces everywhere, and it's huge. It's all over TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. We barely left our house, and the few times we left our house, we got recognized.
Their surprise faces and that moment even making it onto late night television.
Oh my dwarfs. Da Vinci? One of my buttons. Listen now. Da Vinci?
But for the Burroughs twins, this viral video was about more than just making strangers laugh online. They also had a loved one in mind, their dad who's going through a hard time.
So basically, throughout our whole lives, people were like, everyone knows someone that has cancer, and we were like, oh, we're lucky, it was never us. Dad got diagnosed with lung cancer, and he's going through the treatments right now, but it's good. He's doing good overall, just low energy and things like that. On Facebook, he's always like, give me more content. What are we posting today? We're glad to put a smile on so many people's faces, and it's continuing to do so.
You know the difference between you and me, at least one difference is you don't have Meg, our lineup editor, in your ear laughing hysterically through that entire piece. She just loves it, and so do millions more. Also, I don't understand what goes viral and what doesn't. That's The National for Sunday, September 27th. Good night.